Welcome back to another video. Today we are in the new rotation. We're going to run it in the Ultra League. Open Ultra League is back. So we're going to try the Shadow Gliscor pair with the Golisopod and Jellicent. We have a pretty decent lead here, so we're going to allow them to throw a move. We can survive any move that is thrown here, so it ends up being the Stone Edge. They switch out into the Hippowdon, Shadow Hippowdon. Interesting. So it is going to be able to... Okay, it's going to throw a Scorching Sand here to potentially try to debuff us. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. We go for the Arrow Ace bait here. They do not shield it, and they are going to be able to get to another move here. Is this going to be the Rock Weather Ball? It is going to be the Rock Weather Ball, so that's going to be really beneficial for our opponent here. Now they shield. Our opponent here does end up flipping the switch, and now we're kind of in trouble, so we're going to go for this Earthquake here, expecting them not to shield, hopefully. Let's see what happens here. They do end up shielding. Wow. What a shield. So this Gliscor is going to have to tank this Weather Ball, and we're just going to put 2 shields onto the Jellicent, hoping that it's going to be enough. We know that they had the Virizion, and we know that, okay, ends up being the Registeel. Registeel here versus our Jellicent with 2 shields. So who's going to be able to figure this out? They do end up throwing a move here. We're going to have to shield. It does end up being the Zapkin, and they get the debuff. So that is not good for us. We are going to be able to get to this Shadow Ball right here. Now, instead of probably 2 Shadow Balls, we need about 3 Shadow Balls to take out this Registeel now. Another Shadow Ball goes through. They are able to survive it. We're going to shield here. They do go for the Focus Blast bait, which is fine, and then they switch out into their Virizion. We do not, unfortunately, have Arrow Ace on this. We only have the Night Slash, and they're going to be able to resist it, and they are able to get to another move for the KO. So GG's to our opponent right there. Unable to deal with that Hippowdon correctly, cost us the game. Obviously, in hindsight, we should have used our Jellicent, but we were just trying to break down some shields with our Golisopod on their Hippowdon. So, on to the next game. We got the Shadow Gliscor versus this Clefable. Not necessarily the best matchup. We're going to switch out into the Golisopod. Golisopod here has a pretty neutral matchup against this Clefable. We go for the Liquidation. We do get the debuff, which is great, but they're most likely going to switch out anyways. They go for the Moonblast, looking for the debuff. They don't get it. They do have the Chip and Dip, and they're going to go into their Feraligatr here. Feraligatr is looking to farm down. They do get the farm down, so that is unfortunate for us. They potentially have something weak in the back to this Gliscor. That's why they didn't immediately switch out. But we're hoping that the Jellicent with 2 shields will be able to close this game. So we do tank that first move, and then they're going to be able to get to a Crunch. We were hoping that they were not running Crunch, but because this Feraligatr is running the Crunch version, this is not going to be good for us, as it looked like we did get the debuff, and they're just going to be using these fast moves to do some very, very heavy damage. Okay, you can see right here, the Clefable comes back in to soak up some damage, ends up being no shielded there. Okay, this is all but over, unfortunately. Let's see what they have in the bag at least. We're going to throw another Surf, and then we're going to be able to farm it down. Okay, so yeah, it makes sense right there. They ended up having the Annihilate in the back. Annihilate didn't necessarily want to see the Gliscor, but also didn't necessarily want to see our Jellicent as well. The Shadow Ball does go through for the BM, but it's all good. They were going to be able to win that anyways. Okay, so we're going to have to switch out this team a little bit, because we are showing a little bit of weakness to like Feraligatrs and stuff that are kind of spammy. So we're going to go into our Poliwrath in this situation to see if we can win some games. So we got the Gliscor here against the Shadow Gramble. Gramble is going to probably be running Charm. Okay, we do see that it is running Charm, but you can see our fast ones are doing some good, decent damage. They do try to catch a move, and they switch out into their Jellicent. Now it's going to be an easy decision. We're just going to stay in, and we're just going to spam these Night Slashes. Another Night Slash goes through. We're looking to try to get to another Night Slash. Our opponent here is basically just tanking all these moves. We finally get a shield from our opponent, and it just looked like we potentially could have gotten to another Night Slash if they didn't throw this move. So that's not bad by our Shadow Gliscor right there, doing all that damage and getting a shield from this Jellicent. So we're going to be able to shield this Shadow Ball, and then we're going to farm down, luckily. And now we have a good amount of energy for whatever comes back in. We know that this Aerial Ace here will do some good neutral damage. It does get a shield from our opponent. And we know that this Gramble knows probably Crunch in close combat. We are able to tank the first Crunch. No debuff, which is helpful. And then we're going to barely not take it out, and we're going to be able to farm down. And luckily, we do have the Poliwrath with the shield versus their own Poliwrath. Their Poliwrath has a slight advantage, but because they're going to be able to have the energy advantage, they do get the Skull to go up. Unfortunately for them, no debuff. We go for the Skull, we get the debuff, but we were in a good spot anyways because we had one shield available. You can see here, we had the luxury of being able to shield a move. They go for another Skull here for the potential KO, but unfortunately not enough because we're going to be able to get to a Skull and we are going to be able to farm them down. So GG's to our opponent. The Poliwrath coming in clutch right there, closing the game for us. You can see here the Gliscor obviously is very, very fragile. So you're going to have to make sure you have the right Pokemon matched up against the Gliscor. We got the Muk here, decides to switch out into the Wall Ring, doing some double super effective ice moves. And this is why we got the Poliwrath, so that we can have a little bit more coverage to these ice moves. We know that, okay, they're throwing a Water Pulse. Interesting. So Water Pulse is a new move. We do get the debuff on the Wall Ring, but because we're running Water Pulse, we were going to be able to hard wall this Wall Ring the whole time. So we're just looking for the farm down at this point. Luckily, we have some good energy to throw back at this Muk. This Muk is quite tanky neutrally. No debuff right there with the Scald. Our opponent here does end up throwing the move before we get to our Icy Wind. So they reveal that they have the Ice Punch and they have the Trevenant in the back. Trevenant in the back here, not too shabby for our Gliscor. Sorry, our Golisopod. We switched on to the Golisopod using super effective fast moves, and we have the super effective Aerial Ace. We are able to tank the Shadow Ball, and that is going to allow us to farm it down. We go for this liquidation towards this Muk, and they know that this is probably GG's because our fast moves here are going to do more damage than their fast moves, and we have 2 shields. So we're just going to farm down here and win the game. So not bad. The Poliwrath ended up coming in clutch right there, able to maintain alignment and come out with some energy versus that Wall Ring. Even if they had Earthquake version, we still would have been okay, as Earthquake takes way longer to get to, and that Poliwrath would have been able to come out with some energy. All right, we got the Alolan Muk this time. Alolan Muk here is throwing the Poison Jab fast moves. You can see here, we are doing way more fast move pressure than them. They go for the Dark Pulse, and we're just going to go for this Earthquake here. We're anticipating them not shielding because they're staying in. Okay, actually, they do end up shielding. We're gonna try to get 2 shields out of this opponent here, as we're gonna shield here. Ends up being the Dark Pulse. Do they want to go down 2 shields off the rip? So we're just gonna go for another Earthquake. They do indeed. So we're gonna switch out of this situation, not allowing them to farm us down. We're gonna try to get to a liquidation here before they can get their move. One liquidation goes through, doesn't quite KO. So this allows them to get a move off, but we're gonna have to let this go. Ends up being the Sludge Wave. That's huge damage, but this Muk here, okay, this Muk is gonna take this Golisopod into low red, but they have the Clefable. Clefable doesn't quite have enough fast move pressure, so we are able to stay in and throw that liquidation. We're just gonna shield here just to get this move off because we want this Clefable to be as low as possible. We do try to get them to switch out. They do get the switch out, and looks like they have the Greninja in the back. Greninja here is going to have a trouble taking down this Poliwrath, as all their moves are resisted. One Hydro Cannon goes through, doesn't quite take us into the yellow. Another Nice Slash comes through, takes us into the yellow. They try to get the boost, unfortunately does not happen, and this is just a clear farm down at this point. Another Nice Slash goes through, and luckily we do have a move ready for their Clefable. They weren't quite at a move, and boom goes the Clefable. So GG's to our opponent. Check out this team if you haven't already, and let us know if you enjoyed the video.